the woke people think they've got the best intentions, but what they're actually doing is creating a huge anti-sentiment against the Indigenous population by not knowing what they're talking about, not dealing with the issues that are there with the community.
And it's great
What do
to
you feel
have
about that?
a positive sense, sense towards things. But if you don't know what you're talking about, then maybe you should try and learn.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think if you don't take the time to go and learn, if you want to say something, maybe don't say anything at all, because a lot of people are saying things that just don't make sense.
But above and beyond everything, they'll be learning culture. They'll be learning about Indigenous culture. And I'm passionate about people learning about Indigenous culture, but Donnie, you're famous for it. You've got a huge passion for teaching people culture. So Donnie, for people who don't know, you've been Queensland Indigenous Citizen of the Year in 2013. You're very, very well known for your Didge playing. You played Didge with the Sydney Symphony Orchestra, and you're very, very well respected. But above and beyond that, you're very well respected because of the kids and having taught kids culture. Why are you so passionate about culture? Why do you love teaching kids about Indigenous culture?
Well, I come from a different background. I had my father was Vietnam vet. My mum was Christian, and I had it a bit rough on the streets from a young age on and off, and I ended up on drugs. I got off at 16, and what really helped was the culture. And I figured if it helped me, that it could help these kids, and that these kids going through some circumstances that I was going through, it could really help them, and give them the passion and the strength to stand up and feel good about themselves enough to actually do something for their lives.
Yeah. It keeps them away from pretending to be young African American gangsters too, doesn't it? If they identify with their own culture.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of family die from that. It's just been pretty sad all around. So the problem is, if you give them some respect and some pride in themselves and their culture, that they're not looking at all these new things to follow.
Yeah, exactly. I think every young man is looking for that initiation. Like initiation is missing in modern society for all teenage boys. I mean, when a woman becomes a woman, we bleed. It's obvious we're a woman now. But with a man, they have to show something, to show that they've done that tradition, that transition into an adult. And culture allows them to have that connection with the land, and instead of having to show themselves, prove themselves in a gangstery sort of way.
Yeah, it gives them also more family values. I think it does to most people.
Yeah.
It's just a sense of community, and bringing people back together instead of pulling them all apart. Because these days, everything seems to be pulling everyone away from everyone, and just interaction with people, talking with people, simple things,
And I think the woke stuff with the Indigenous community is doing that too. I mean, the woke people think they've got the best intentions, but what they're actually doing is creating a huge anti-sentiment against the Indigenous population by not knowing what they're talking about, not dealing with the issues that are there with the community.
And it's great to have a positive sense, sense towards things. But if you don't know what you're talking about, then maybe you should try and learn.
Exactly.
I think if you don't take the time to go and learn, if you want to say something, maybe don't say anything at all, because a lot of people are saying things that just don't make sense. And every
Yeah.
tribe has a different dreaming. So, we've all got different codes and different rules that we follow. We all
Mm,
speak different languages. We've got trade language as well, and elder languages for men and women. And we've
mhm,
got respect for both sides of that.
mhm, mhm. I mean, if people want to help the Indigenous community, like the event that we're having where they get to spend time with you and learn culture is one of the best things they can do, don't you think?
I think it is, and I think it's also good just for people to learn things like, say they're traveling and they break down in the middle of nowhere. It's good to know where to go, how to find water, how to find, just something to nibble on, just to keep
Mm,
you going. You know,
mm,
if you get
yeah,
caught out and it's cold or it's, hot or whatever it is, to know a few basic essentials to keep you surviving a lot more calmly, so
mm,
that you're thinking ahead. You know, you're not just
mm,
darting around, getting yourself more lost, more in trouble. I
yeah,
think that really
absolutely.
helps.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we've got the recession at the moment. Food is through the roof. They're saying it's like between 10 and 13%. Any person at all that's doing any shopping knows that we're probably more at like 300 to 600% inflation. And to know that if you need to be able to go out into the bush and eat for free. I mean,
Oh, mate,
I've
even
been through that period with 2 children where I haven't had anything to feed them, when I walked away from a very abusive relationship and no money. The It's benefits are all good when they give them to you, but there's sometimes a gap in between. And in Australia, with our beautiful country, nobody should go hungry. There's food everywhere if you know where to look for it, isn't there?
that's right. And even in our own backyard, we've got,
Mm,
lettuces, our own native lettuces, and there's different roots you can dig up and eat, and all sorts of things. You know,
mm,
berries. Some of them might not be so sweet, but they all serve a purpose, and there's ways of testing to see if things are poisonous or if they're bad for you or if they're good for you. You know, there's just different
mm,
ways that we have of doing these sorts of things, and it's good to
mm.
share that sort of information onto people.
Yeah. And I love warrigal spinach, which is like all around this area. It grows all over the coast.
Yep,
Most people don't know, one, that it's edible, two, that it's yummy, and three, it's a bush medicine. It's great for your eyesight.
yep.
Lots of different eye disorders. If you eat that, you get better eyesight. So, yeah, so they'll learn about the bush medicine side of the tucker as well, won't they?
Well, that's it. It's Tucker. It's medicine. It's knowing what's what for what. If
Mm,
you get cut, if you get bitten by a spider or a snake or something like that, there's different things you can do. You know,
mm,
it's always
mhm,
good to know how to light a fire. I think
mm,
that's an important skill to have. You
mm.
know, to be able to pick up
Yeah,
what's around you and be able to do that.
yeah. So many people don't know how to light a fire. I mean, these are things that I taught my kids straight away. They all had to be able to light a fire, cook a meal, in case I was sick and I couldn't get up and look after them. But you
Well,
said
that's
that you
right.
want on this weekend, you think it's essential that everybody learns how to make fire and make some fire sticks as well.
Yeah, some
So
fire
that's one of
sticks.
the things you'll be showing them.
Yep. And I
Yeah.
think people should also know to, take water, where to take water from, where not to take water from, things like that. You know, even if you're boiling it, even if you've got a billy and you're boiling the water, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best spot to take it from. Just
Yeah.
simple things like that
Yeah.
can really help.
Yeah. And there's plants that actually contain drinkable water, you know. They
That's
filter
for
it real
sure.
well. And learning that's
Yep.
amazing as well. Yeah.
Well, there's different areas, different plants too. So
Mm,
yeah, it also might hopefully encourage people to look into it more themselves as well,
mm,
you know. And like even in the desert, Dad used to take us out. He was really good when we were in the bush, and he'd take us out and we'd stick a reed, you know, in the ground, and we'd be able to pull water from there because we knew that that's where and I'll teach a bit more about that this weekend anyway. This weekend coming. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, there's so much to learn. I mean, I 100% believe that if you really want to be Australian, then you've got to learn Indigenous culture. That you're not really part of the land until you have learnt that Indigenous culture. And you can walk off into the land and realize she is a loving mother that just wants to look after us so well if we live in harmony with her.
That's right. And it's giving and taking. See? It's never just about taking. It's never about just killing for sport. It's never about killing for pleasure. You know, you do things for a reason, for a purpose. And that's how we've got to learn to do things a bit better, especially with the recession coming.
Yeah. And I mean, that applies for plants too. You know, people forget that plants are alive, you know, and you eat a plant, you're killing that plant, but it's happy to give its life for you if you treat it respectfully. You know, it's a reciprocal arrangement. You're helping the plant to live, and the plant helps you to live, as well as, you know, getting meat and fish. And oh my goodness, we've got such a bountiful country. We really do. I've got so much, you know, I can talk to you about, and there's so much we have spoken about in the past. And I know this is just like a little taste for people, you know, because not only is it a taste of what they'll learn on the weekend, but it's also you know, where you're inviting people to your table. And Chef Caesar said, you know, if you want to know somebody's heart, eat at their table. And that's what you're doing this weekend, is inviting us to eat at your table while you tell us about your culture. So we're going to get to know more about you, about this beautiful land that we live in. And it's not just about BushTucker. It's about etiquette. It's about dreaming. It's about the magic. It's about all of it, isn't it?
That's right. And there's different times to take different things.
Yeah. When people come for the weekend and do this course, a lot of the things that you've told me, a lot of things that other Indigenous elders have taught me, because, you know, my son is part Indigenous. I have my granddaughters are part Indigenous. I go back to the First Fleet convicts. So that means more than likely there's a lot of Indigenous in me. I might be half Hungarian, but the other half is right back to the First Fleet. So at least 200 years of being, you know, in touch with the land there.
I'm a mix of breeds myself, you know. Bit of a mongrel breed, I call it. But yeah, I've got all Scottish, German, Romanov, Gypsy, just Romanian. Yeah, a lot of other things as well.
Yeah. And most of the elders I've spoken to respect that. You know, they understand that people can have a bit of everything. They come from a bit of everywhere. But if you're willing to be part of the land, you know, if it becomes part of you, then they welcome us. You know, it's just so lovely. It's a lovely welcoming culture. Not the exclusive thing that so many wokey people have been getting everybody Indigenous. Like this Captain Cook thing. Oh my goodness. And the 26th of January. 26th of January has got nothing to do with Captain Cook. Captain Cook only mapped Australia. He wasn't the invader. He only mapped Australia. And yet all the woke people are jumping up and down. There's been a lot of damage done by the colonials colonizing Australia. But, you know, it's wise to be angry at the right person for the right reason rather than the wrong person for the wrong reason. Don't you think?
Well, I think so. And also, like, I didn't get asked till about 10 years ago. I said I wasn't asked till, I don't know, over 10 years ago, why, you know, as an Indigenous person, I was representing Australia. And I was so proud to say that, you know, if there was anybody that should be, like, we should be the first ones in there, you know, representing Australia Day because it was us, that looked after the land so beautifully and took care of it. So, when the white fellas did come in, you did see such a beautiful, prosperous. I believe that, I think for Indigenous people, I think we need to be, standing up and saying, hey, yes, we've brought all this culture to this country. This country is so lucky to have this much culture, and we, this is a gift for everybody. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I've
That's how
always
I feel
been
too.
proud to represent.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I just don't want to see the things that I've seen, as of last Australia Day, where everybody's turning on everybody. That's not what it's about. They're turning on the Indigenous, they're turning on each other. It's so sad to see. It's going to be so nice this weekend with everybody there, because there won't be any of that. Everybody will just be there. We've all got to get on in this country to survive, and the land reminds us of that very quickly.
It does, doesn't it? And it doesn't matter what type of land it is, there's always something good and something, that you've got to learn to adjust to be able to, prosper in that country, no matter what country it is.
Yeah.
So, pretty important.
Well, Donnie, we haven't been having a few technical issues today, so we might leave our discussion there. But if it's all right, I'd very much like to invite you back for another discussion before we have our weekend. And if anybody wants to ask me any questions, I know that you're a very busy person, but I'm happy for them to pester me. They certainly can ask me questions. And we'd love to see them there on the weekend so that they can get some knowledge and help their families, help their communities, and bring Australia closer together.
I think we're going to have a great time, and I think it'll be just about sharing. And I love sharing my culture. I love teaching it. I love, letting people understand it more, because then you get to understand our people more, and it's just, I don't know. I've always found that sharing's caring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not talking all the woke junk. I'm talking about, not turning everybody against everybody, so nobody's actually looking at what's actually going on in the world. I'm talking about, people actually along and working as a community, and that's what we'll be working towards.
Fantastic.
I think it'll.
All right, then. Well, maybe next time we can get a little bit of Didge playing out of you as well. Fingers crossed.
Shall do.
Yeah, that'd be
awesome.
Great. All right, my darling heart.
All
well,
right.
Thank you so much. I feel very privileged again to have you share your wisdom and your knowledge with us. Let's see.
Thank you.
But if anybody wants any further information about anything that we've spoken about, especially the on-country weekend that we've got coming up, which is very soon, and if you'd like to help us host an on-country weekend near you, we'd love to do that. Donnie also does work with sharing culture with children in schools, so we love to do that as well. So if you want to get in contact with us, please do. And if you really want to improve the situations in Australia, come along, learn some culture, and learn some BushTucker. Hey, you'll save money on your grocery bill at the very least. All right, my darling. Well, I might leave it there, and we'll catch up with you soon.
All right.
Bye. Every blessing. All right, darling.
Hands, feet. On the count of three. 1, 2, 3, go. Check, 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 check.